which my
Welcome
welcome
to
to
our
our
Wednesday
Wednesday
night
night
healing and
healing and
meditation
meditation
service.
service.
We are
We
so
are so
grateful that
grateful
you're
that
here
you're
on our
here on
live
our live
stream.
stream.
You
You
are
are
in the
in the
right
right
place to
place
hear
to hear
about
about
grief.
grief.
We've got
We've got
Courtney
Courtney
Holton
Holton
and
and
Joanne
Joanne
Kelly
Kelly
who are
who
going
are
to
going to
bring
bring
light to
light
that
to that
subject.
subject.
And
And
now I'd
now
like
I'd like
to
to
ask
ask
the
the
coordinator of
coordinator of
this
this
these
these
events,
events,
Linda
Linda
Gillespie,
Gillespie,
assistant
assistant
minister, who's going
minister, who's
to
going to
guide us
guide
in
us
an
in an
opening
opening
prayer.
prayer.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Gary.
Gary.
What a joy it is to be here tonight. We've set aside this time to focus on healing. And so, will you join with me in a moment of just preparing and getting ourselves ready to whatever Spirit has for us in this time? So, I just invite you to breathe as we move to that place where we know that we are one with God. For there is only one presence and one power. And we are so grateful to know that it is in that one presence, that one power, that we have the power to transform our lives, to transform our thinking into a more healing perspective, so that we may move through this life with grace and ease. For we know that that is the intention set for us, and we are grateful. And so it is, and so we just let it be. Amen.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Linda.
Linda.
And now
And now
we
we
turn it
turn
over
it over
to
to
our
our
facilitators of
facilitators
this
of this
evening's
evening's
topic,
topic,
Courtney and
Courtney and
Joanne.
Joanne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, it is good to be here with you all. Grief. It is not a topic that a lot of people want to talk about, and yet it's such a powerful thing. Maggie and I were talking about it the other night when we were getting ready for bed, and we kind of acknowledged the fact that grief touches every aspect of our life, because grief is what happens when change happens. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that that's something that we associate with grief, because the typical feelings of grief is that it's sad, but grief is so many things, and it shows up in a lot of different masks and a lot of different disguises. But it's just the pulse, really, of the fact that we are alive, because change happens from the moment we take our first breath until our very last breath. We are going to be in a state of change. My personal experience with grief is that I didn't outrun it. I tried to outrun it. I spent probably a good 40 years of my life trying to stay faster than my feelings, quicker, more agile than my feelings. And I spent, in my early 20s, I started to do chemical dependency counseling. I worked with teens, then I worked with adult women. Then I moved into more of case management with developmental disabilities. And I was in a position where I was available to others and to hear others, but not really available to myself. So it wasn't until I was 40 years old, it was right after my 40th birthday, And for all of you who want to know, that was 8 years ago. After my 40th birthday, it was in October, and I was sitting outside on the front porch with the plants. I just got through watering them, and I sat down and I started to cry. And I cried for months. It just kept coming. And my my family was concerned. They were like, we don't know what to do. And I just said, I'm going to cry until I'm done crying. And then I will be done crying. But I cried for months. And I think what was happening in retrospect and looking back is that I was purging all those years of listening to people's pain and frustration and fear and sorrow and life. And it just started to come up, and it came up. And that's really when I couldn't run anymore. So I really started to look at it and started to do the work around it. And I came across Dr. David Hawkins. I was a fan of Dr. David Hawkins for a lot of other books, but it was this particular book called Letting Go, where he talks about the importance of really allowing ourselves to feel whatever it is that we're feeling. And at that time, at the immediate time, I was like, oh, I feel my feelings. I really, I get in touch with them. I do this. But what I noticed is that I hadn't really done that, because as soon as the feeling starts to come up, especially if it's an unpleasant feeling, there's an unconscious closing down of that happens involuntarily or unconsciously. It's a suppression. So it might come up a little bit, but we shut it down. And Dr. David Hawkins, in his book called Letting Go, talks about this is a moment that requires us to be consciously present and actually inviting this feeling to be whatever it is. And it was that moment that I recognized that I hadn't truly felt my feelings. I just kind of convinced myself that I had. Mm-hmm. And so I did the exercises, or not exercises, but what he recommended was to become fully present and aware. And I'll tell you in a minute how I did that and kind of what it looked like. But the reason why we're even talking about grief right now is because we've had an enormous shift globally. Sometimes we will go through these things as a community, as humanity, where a lot of people feel a lot of the same feelings at the same time. I'm not sure that we've ever had it to where it was the whole world was focused on it. And the whole world is experiencing some sort of change right now. And along with change comes grief, because something changed, whether it's the way that we live our daily life, the identity that we have about ourselves, the way we operate, any number of things. A lot of us have lost people, loved ones. A lot of us have lost work. There's been change, and so we are experiencing a wide range of feelings, and that is also change. So it could be showing up as anger or guilt or shame or embarrassment or attachment to wanting things to be the way that they've always been, or to go back the way that they've been. But as Byron Katie is so just practical, she says, how do I know that this is what's supposed to be happening? It's because this is what's happening. And it is for me. And this is the moment and the time that we're given an opportunity to really touch what it is that makes us uniquely who we are. And that comes with the feelings that we feel about situations. And all feelings are valid, and all feelings are worthy. All feelings describe our connection with the world and the life that we have. One of my grandmother, I loved this woman. She was 106 years old, and she is the only person I've ever known to this day who I never heard her complain about a single thing. I never, not once, and I'm not exaggerating, I never heard her speak ill of anyone else. She was an amazing woman, and I was also prepared for her transition because she was 106 and she was ready to go. She had been ready to go for a long time. So when her time came and she was getting ready to transition, I was the one that was there with her in her apartment. And I did, all of the things that you do when people are transitioning, but that's not what I'm talking about. The point I'm talking about is after she had passed away and they were coming to get her, I remember standing outside of her apartment, and I felt so many emotions at one time, but the one that was out in front was the fact that it felt this way because I loved her. What I was feeling was an acknowledgement to myself that I had loved her so deeply and would continue to love her. It was a feedback of my own existence, of my contribution, of showing up and being present in this connection with her. And I can't say that I've had that experience with everyone that has passed away, or even had that experience for every major change and shift that's happened in my life. But it was important for me to have that experience and to know that it was almost showing me that the equal amount of love that I had for her was going to be shown to me in an equal amount of how much it made me feel. So going back to the experience that I had with really getting present with my feelings. So I'm in the chair, and I'm determined that I'm gonna feel my feelings, and I'm gonna be present with them, and I'm gonna love them, and I'm gonna heal this stuff. And so I'm reading along, and it talks about being, in the moment, in the present, and locating what the feeling is. And for me, at that particular moment, it was, I think it was a feeling of aloneness, of being alone and allowing that feeling to be what it is and really getting in touch with it. And I could tell that when it started to come up, I wanted to do that. No, I don't want to do this. It's going to take me over. It's going to engulf me. I'm going to start crying, and I won't be able to stop crying. But in the moment when it started to come up, Dr. Hawkins talks about just acknowledging whatever feeling it is, not trying to change what it is, but just acknowledge it. And so I did. And I'm in the living room by myself in the recliner, and I'm feeling where it is, and I'm acknowledging it, and I'm saying, okay, this is what loneliness feels like. And you can substitute it for whatever. This is what grief feels like, or this is what anger feels like, or shame or guilt, or and without changing it, I was just present with it. And I just let it be whatever it was. And to my surprise, when I allowed that space and I gave it that space to breathe and to not try to push it down or change it or make it, it didn't last long. I felt it. And then it went away. It dissipated. And through that, I guess it was confidence. I decided I would try another something. So I poked around in there and to see what else was in there. And okay, here's some guilt or here's some shame. And also allowed that to come up and feel that. And be present with it without trying to label it or change it as, not good, not now, not this, not that. Oh, it's because of that. It was just like saying, so this is what grief feels like. This is grief. I am experiencing grief or pain or loss or hurt or anger or whatever. And it dissipated also. So what I learned in that experience is that it's possible to catch those moments when feelings start to come up, and the reflex is to suppress it and not yet, not now, after a while, later, is to really stop a moment and go, this is what this feels like. It's okay that this feels this way. It's only a moment and it's temporary. Feelings change like thoughts. Just for this moment, I'm going to be just present with this feeling and allow it to be what it is. And it was an amazing transformative experience for me. I can't say that I'm the most just run out and open and talk. I'm kind of an introvert a little bit. I have to, you might have to come up to me and say hi and connect with me, but I'm not scared of my feelings because they come and they go just like thoughts. And it's good. There's emotional intelligence that comes by way of allowing whatever feeling it is to be what it is. And we deserve it. We're precious. We're not fragile, but we are precious. I think I'm going to turn it over now to Joanne.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Courtney. That was really lovely. Thank you for sharing that. I can agree with everything you say. I think I would like to share and validate some things that Courtney said. It's so important, the connection with ourselves. And that's what allowing yourself to feel your own feelings does. It allows you to connect with yourself. And in that connection, you can learn who you really are. And you can learn also what she said, which is your feelings are never going to kill you. They will feel overwhelming at times, but the more that you repress it, the more that you will regret it, because it will affect your health mentally and physically. And the more that you can feel your feelings and realize that all feelings are valid, it's very, very important. I know for myself, I really had a lot of personal therapy that helped me a great deal. And I think my turning point came in my late 30s, early 40s. And I had some wonderful therapists who helped me understand that everybody's wounded to one degree or another. And how we deal with that in our life is so important because, as Courtney said, life is about not only wonderful things, we have gains, we also have losses at every stage of life. And so I had really great therapists that encouraged me to feel my feelings, find my places, and embrace them. And I was able to grow and heal. And then I discovered the Course in Miracles. Oh heavens, 40 years ago. And the Course in Miracles basically teaches the same thing, that you are, as Chrissy said so wonderfully, that you are precious and that you are a creation of a very loving God. And that honoring yourself with your feelings is a wonderful thing to do. Because in the honoring of yourself, you learn to honor others. You also, by loving yourself and accepting yourself, you learn to love and accept others more. There is a principle in the Course in Miracles that basically says that the key to salvation is forgiveness. Well, I think one of the most important things to do is to forgive ourselves for what we might consider negative feelings. And that we do that by validating them, accepting them, and letting them come and go. As Courtney said, like waves. It's like a wave. You know, emotions are energy in motion. And just like a wave, they come and they crest. And then if nothing stops the wave, it just keeps going. Well, what we're trying to do when we express our feelings is trying to push back the wave like the ocean, which is really quite possible. So when we allow it to crest and we allow it to break on shore, then we may feel tired, but we will do it. The Course in Miracles has I was going to read you one, one thing from it. Recently we had a lesson, and I'm going to read this to you. It was lesson 121. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. The unforgiving mind is full of fear and offers love no room to be itself, no place where it can spread its wings in peace and soar above the turmoil of the world. And I thought that was so appropriate for right now because one of the things that we're experiencing with this COVID virus is that, you know, we are required to social distance, and we were not designed physically or mentally to not see each other and be in each other's presence. I mean, this Zooming is wonderful. I love seeing all your faces. It helps me keep in touch with people. However, you know, we need to be in each other's presence because we are energy and we feed on that energy. And when we are in a group like Marion Community Church, a positive thinking way, we have we feed off each other's positive energy and increase that growth of the positive. And we are missing it, and this is a great loss for many, I think all of us. I know that I'm having more telephone calls, I'm having phone sessions with my clients, and I'm having many more telephone calls from my clients saying, I am feeling really, really sad and lost. My own personal experience with grief, my first personal experience was young. I was raised by my grandmother. At 5, she was unable to take care of me. And my grandmother had taken care of me every day of my life from the time I was born until I was 5. And she got ill and she couldn't do it. And I remember being very clear at 5. That was the greatest loss in the world. I cannot, I mean, it just changed my whole life. And then I went on through life and I had other losses with grandparents. And my parents are gone. And then my husband recently died, my husband of 33 years, Glenn. He died a year and a half ago. And I was very grateful to the Course in Miracles, to unity and all of the things that I've studied that have allowed me to get in touch with my feelings, including a lot of good therapy. Because ever since Glenn has passed away, it's been a really tough time. You know that we know intellectually know as spiritual beings that we're not going to lose them, but physically we know that their body's going to be removed from us. But until they are gone, actually physically, it's like a shock. It's just they're gone and they're not physically coming back. And that's a tremendous awakening moment. It's like, for me, it was like somebody just reached in and pulled my heart right up. To think and to deal with the reality that this being, physical being that you have known so well and trusted and counted on, whoever they were, grandmother, mother, father, or husband or wife or whatever, that they are gone. That is an incredible loss. And so I'm so grateful to so many positive things that have taught me to feel those feelings and honor myself and the people I love. Like what you said, the greater the grace, the more you love that person. It's an honoring, of them and yourself. So I don't think I have anything else to say about it, but I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, it's such I'm really looking forward to it. So I don't know if we told everyone, but we're going to be doing a weekly Zoom meeting. I guess we're going to figure out the technical aspects of it. But Joanne and I are going to open up a Zoom kind of group where we can get together and just talk about what's going on. And I suppose anything could come up. It doesn't have to be COVID related, or although I imagine, undealt with feelings or unaccepted or unallowed feelings are usually tied to each other in some way until they come up. So we're going to take this opportunity to just dive into it and start talking about it and see where people are and what they need and offer space to do that. And I think the technical part of it will be that something will be announced in the newsletter and with a link, and we can all get together. We can be present with each other, present with our feelings, and start moving some of this stuff, start clearing some of this out of the way. So, Gary, do you have anything you'd like to add, or Linda?
Well, I
Well,
will
I
add
will
to
add
that
to
that
that
will
will
begin
begin
on May
on May
12th
12th
at
at
7
7
p.m.
p.m.
And the
And
link
the
for that
link for that
will
will
be
be in the
in the newsletter.
newsletter.
And
And
I
I
think
think
this
this
is
is
going
going
to
to
be
be
a
a wonderful
wonderful opportunity for
anyone that wants
meet
to
it.
meet it.
So
So
thank you,
thank you,
Joanne
Joanne and
for
Courtney,
your
for your wonderful wisdom and
your heart.
your heart.
And
And
do you have
do you
anything
have
more,
anything
Linda?
more, Linda?
Oh my gosh, this is wonderful. It is so absolutely necessary. Thank you both, and thank you for your willingness to offer your time and your expertise to the community, and the community, of course, at large. It's awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And
And
so
so
this,
this,
what
what
we're
we're
going
going
to
to
do
do
now is
now
we're going
is
to
we're going to
offer a
offer a
meditation,
meditation
because
because we've heard some wisdom and we've heard a lot and we've probably felt some things. And so it's a good time to settle in and go within.
Thank you,
Thank
Linda.
you, Linda.
Tonight, I would like to focus our meditation on the poem by James Dillard Freeman, the one we know so well, The Prayer for Protection. It is such a gift to be able to acknowledge all that is in this prayer, in this poem, actually, It is both of those things. And so right now, I would just like for you to feel the presence and the power right where you are in this moment. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is. The pure light of God surrounds you as you move through this moment in time. You're enveloped, surrounded, encased in that pure light of God, that pure light of love that God is. Wherever, whatever is going on in your life is surrounded in that pure, perfecting light. The light of God is doing a pure and holy work in you as you move through this time. Whatever is going on is completely surrounded in that light of God's love. And that love of God that enfolds me, enfolds you. What a gift it is to be able to imagine being wrapped, enfolded in that blanket of love that God is. The love of God enfolds me. There is only one presence, one power, and that is God. And it is that love that is God that makes this so powerful. And then we move to the power of God. And we call forth that power. That power that is ingrained in every one of us. We know that to be the truth of our being. And when we call it forth, we are filled with God's love and light as we move through these moments in time. And then the presence of God that watches over us, that watches every single breath we take, every thought we think, every action we take. That presence of God watches over every aspect of our lives and declares that it is good. And we are grateful for that goodness. Knowing that there truly is only one presence and one power. And that is that presence that is watching over us as we move through this life. For wherever we are, wherever you are, wherever I am, God is. What more could we need to know to move us to a higher level of life, of love, of compassion? And we just breathe into that space of knowing the truth of that statement. That wherever we are, God is. and all truly is well in our world. And so it is, and so we let it be. I invite you just to take another deep breath and allow the truth of this statement to resonate at the deepest level of your being. As we bring our attention back to the time and space where we are in this moment, we say, Amen.
And thank you, Linda.
And as we close this evening's
event,
event, I want to thank again Courtney Holton and Joanne Kelly
and
and
Linda
Linda
Gillespie
Gillespie for
all
all of that wisdom
and light.
and light.
This
This
is
is our Wednesday
healing
healing and
meditation
meditation
service.
service.
And
And
next week,
tune in at 6:30 because Linda Gillespie is going to bring us sacred
Sacred space.
sacred space.
Holding sacred space for ourselves and others, which is just nothing more than a dovetail to what we have heard from Courtney and Joanne this evening.
Kelly.
Well, yeah.
So join us next week for sacred safe space. Sacred, tongue-tied and everything.
Holding sacred space.
holding sacred space.
And
And
within
that,
go
well this evening.
And
And
many
many
blessings.
blessings.
Namaste.
Namaste.